everyone, and hi, Elena. It's so
Brad.
good to be back here with you again. We had such a great first discussion. We talked about the upcoming meeting, talked about your article with the 22 things, and 2022's annual meeting and other highlights.
I'm glad you remember that first one.
Yeah, how about that? And October 16 and 19, Indianapolis, here we go.
Here we come.
But before we even jump into this, let's just talk about why are in-person meetings so important?
Great question. It's actually, one of the top topics we talk about in the association industry in terms of how the in-person meeting drives collaboration and drives research. And as you know, Brad, my doctorate's in social psychology, so this human connection and identity is so important to me. And one of the things I think about in terms of the COVID years, and I'm not counting 2022 as COVID year, though maybe I should, is what did we lose from not being in person? So what are the collaborations, what are the research projects that we may have had people been in person and meeting new people in the hallways, at the coffee breaks, at our receptions. It makes me think, this is at least 6 months ago, I think, there was a Resoundingly Human, it's our podcast,
Yes.
right? So they did a podcast on mammograms. And one of the things I thought was so interesting with that is the guest was talking about how some of the ramifications of people delaying their mammograms won't actually be felt for 10 years. And I just thought it was fascinating that you would think that the impacts are going to be felt right away. And it made me think, what's the impact of COVID and not in person? So what are the research projects that sometimes take 10 years? From the first time you meet someone to, oh yeah, I want to collaborate with them. Oh, you know what, I've met them 3 times now. Their research is similar to my research. So, science might be hurt because of those collaborations that didn't form because of it. So I'm excited. Long answer, sorry, Brad.
No.
I'm excited about the in-person to jumpstart those collaborations, jumpstart people meeting people and hearing from their colleagues about the research that they're doing that didn't always come out during hybrid and or virtual meetings.
Right. Well, no, and what you just said, what really makes you step back and pause and really think about how big this all is and how important. And so I'm really glad we're back in person. So we're going to switch a little bit here. So Informs is embarking on a special project regarding member data. Can you update us and talk a little more about that?
Member data project. I didn't know I was getting that question. I love that.
Yeah.
So we do have a project, and it will be showcased at the annual meeting, part of our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Ambassadors program. So they asked, the component that's part of the DEI Ambassadors program is this cool graphic that I have yet to see in terms of how it's going to show up at the annual meeting, in terms of showing the diversity within Informs. And I'm not just talking about, race and ethnicity and gender, but where people work and things like that really make a difference in terms of how we service them. But as part of a larger project to collect data, demographic data, all types of demographic data on our members. And it's not just because we're curious, because we wouldn't bother our members if it was just plain curiosity but it's really to track and understand, are our efforts making a difference? And we believe as our members who do operations, research, data analytics, and making decisions based on that will really embrace this idea of data collection. Because we do so much to try and advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in all we do, but if we don't have measurements, if we don't have data to understand if they're making a difference, then we don't know. If we're spending money or spending time on this, and this, and we see a decrease in the number of people in a certain demographic, we're not making the progress we want. So I'm super excited about that.
Yeah, and I had a little sneak peek, and I think, visually, make sure you stop by the exhibit hall to see this. I mean, I think it's just going to make such a powerful visual statement,
Yeah.
so I'm really thrilled about this.
Quick comment, though, on that. So, we've done this campaign for months now, and I've gotten maybe a total of 10 emails from people saying, hey, this is too sensitive or too political. Every single one of them, polite, professional, and really good comments. Mm-hmm. And, I always appreciate and understand why they don't want to complete it. And then we typically have a conversation about, diversity also means the diversity of thought. And if they don't wanna do it, this, we have before now to answer, we have so many other options to say, bring your whole self, no matter where you are in any of these demographic categories, because that's what's gonna make Inform successful, is to have that diversity.
And, you know, also I wanted to take a little deeper dive. We talked a little bit about this in the previous interview, but as a member of the LGBTQ plus community, can you talk a little bit more about the reception?
So I have to be careful not to talk about it too much, because it's like, it's just one of the many
Sure.
receptions that I'm looking forward to. But again, as part of the DEI Ambassadors Program, a few members put together a proposal to the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee to get funding and time on the meeting schedule to have this first ever reception. What I don't know is this the, first ever reception? There may have been informal receptions in the past, that typically happens in some communities, but I can't wait for this reception and attending it, especially because I'm a member of that community as well.
So there are other events, obviously, to help foster total inclusivity. So what are some of the other events, other receptions that you're looking forward to as well, you just mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, and it's not just at the more, affinity group, so we certainly have Women in OR and MS reception, which is the place to go, I heard. There's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee is doing a joint reception with our Minorities Issues Forum. Looking forward to that. And then, we also have all of our business meetings, which, with our societies and sections, they're taking place. And yeah, they're called business meetings, but sometimes there's some reception going on.
Sure.
And meeting and greeting. We have our member meeting on Tuesday night. That's so important. So I'm looking forward to these meetings. They're not always 100% social, because there is business going on, but it's not listening to a researcher talking about research, so it's a little bit of a different
blend.
yeah.
Yeah. So.
And also one other thing I'm really looking for is the fellows luncheon.
Yeah.
So every year there are a number of fellows that are the top of the top of the top of our industry, and they get inducted during a luncheon, and I'm really looking forward to that. And these are great people, and I get to shake their hands.
That's great. So I want you to kind of think about, what are your hopes for this meeting, and what do you hope that when people walk out the door on that last day, after that last session, that they take forward with them?
So let me answer that first, this last piece. I just want them to feel great, that they spent their time wisely and their money wisely. We know conferences cost money and it costs time. And I want them to say, that was the best 2 days, 3 days, 4 days I spent, like the value, it was just the best use of my time. I was away from my family, I was away from my research, I was away from my students and my professors. Best, and feeling great, with a smile on their face. They met new people, they have new leads, they've learned a lot. That's what I want. What's the first part of the question there? I got so excited about that.
Yeah, no, I think you actually answered it. Just what are your hopes for the meeting?
One thing, so I have a prop here I wanted to share. So we have a strategic plan that the board approved last year. So this is our strategic plan. So some of the strategic goals not only is to advance DEI in all we do, but really to advance decision making. So, advance the science and technology of decision making and elevate its impact. That's what our annual meeting does. Every second of that meeting is about elevating the impact of the research that our members are doing. And really to advance the science and technology, enhance our member value, champion our profession and our brand. So if we walk away, if I as the executive director walks away and saying, check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark on our strategic goals, I'm feeling great.
There you go. Check mark, check mark. Well, thank you again. And by the way, I was just thinking, either I'm going to take your glass or your jacket, or you take my glasses, because they go together so well.
Excellent.
And we still didn't plan this one either. So
excellent.
So thank you so much again. Yeah, thanks so much again for sitting down and talking. You guys, it's just a wonderful experience to have this discussion with you. all of you, get ready for an amazing meeting. It's going to be incredible, and you heard it right there, so.
You know
thank
what? Quick thing.
Yeah.
As we talk to the folks watching us before Indianapolis, if you see me, say hello.
Yeah.
You know, like, I'm still new here. So, and say, hey, good interview, or ask me a question about the strategic direction of Informs, or just, I want to meet people.
There you go.
So,
There you
thanks.
go. Say hello. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.